Well, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed the first segment, and I promise you that this segment will be just as informative. As you can see, I have two special guests, one that you may recognize, Catherine Timms, and the other person is Roger Hulk. Welcome to Captions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From my understanding, the two of you are actively involved in our community by working on the board of directors of the Central Illinois Agency on Aging.
That is correct.
Well, I am so glad to see that that agency is still in existence and
Yes.
that individuals such as yourself have taken on responsibilities of leadership. Catherine, how long have you been involved with the board?
Maybe we don't want to talk about how long I've been involved. That might not suit me well, because then it starts to talking about how old are
Well,
you.
hey, every age is a
However-
blessed age.
However, the agency has been in the Peoria area for 37 years.
37 years.
Yes.
Okay.
And always promoting the effect of what we can do for the adults in this town. It is always ready to work with agencies, with employers, educational institutions, Veterans Affairs, Health and Social Services, and changing family lives.
Fantastic.
We have always recognized those people who have been so involved with us. For instance, PCCEO has been a service provider for the Congress nutrition program for over 25 years.
Okay.
That's a long time.
It sure is.
Promoting a hot, nutritious meal for our agents, for the aging adults and services. We also do things like the blood pressure, the nutrition, and also the socialization. So it meets the needs not only of one thing, but all areas of what the aging does.
Well, that is great, Catherine. I know many years ago when I was at City Hall and Director of Human Services, I worked very closely with the director who at that time I believe was Barbara Miller, and we developed a lot of governmental contracts with the agency as well as the other monies that you receive from the state or the feds in terms of doing planning and primarily serving a very needed part of our population, and that
very
was
true.
the aged. And I'm so glad that first of all the agency is still here, as well as people like the two of you are involved in giving direction to that agency. With all of the cuts that are going on, both federal as well as state, have either of you detected any major concerns in terms of either cut to funding, which may result in cut of some very needed programs or services for our elderly in our community?
Well, I think the key thing is it didn't come to us as a surprise. Our current CEO president, Joanne Thomas,
Right.
her communication and her networking, and then all of those who work with her in the agency, I think were insightful, that we could see ahead of the game
Great.
what you have to be prepared for. And some of it just gets to be downright practical and commonsensical. So for the last few years, they have really been operating on what I would call, from my exposure, a skeletal operational budget.
Bare necessities.
And the nice thing, if you're ever a person who's contributing, you're always wanting to hear, or you're thinking about how much are the administrative costs that underlie whatever the campaign may be. And this agency is well around the 8% mark. Under 10% is considered exceptional for any organization. So having done that, they also had the insight to think about how are we going to deliver services if there isn't every dollar isn't there for every event. So we have had some very difficult board meetings in the last, I would say, Catherine, 3 or 4 years,
Definitely so.
on a monthly basis, where under the direction of the finance advisor and the consumers and also the people who provide, they've looked ahead and said, here's where we can possibly do some, and not cutting It's just reducing and
Expanding.
expanding responsibilities. So in effect, what has happened, we haven't had major cuts per se. In other words, something's absolutely not available any longer.
Well, I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that, because
We have had some reduction of staff members, some that were, as they were changing positions for other opportunities, then we took that opening to have someone else assume those responsibilities. So coming from a background of education, it's one of those things where we all have job descriptions, but then there's always that last one that says, and any other duties as seen fit by the president. That has expanded for even the board.
Okay.
And may I add on to that, there are some agencies here in Peoria that the agency has always been a part of, such as Neighborhood House, who we have been working with for 37 years.
Yes.
And you know, Neighborhood House really delivers meals, and that's one of the things that we really like. And homebound illnesses or disabilities are part of our whole being of what has to happen. That's excellent. What about the prevention for abuse? And with the seniors, and we do senior services for them. So the direct services that we give, along with the transportation to get to and from, to get to the doctors, to get to the nursing homes and things, that is as important as anything else that we do. And that's
Absolutely.
part of the whole being of life.
And you work primarily with agencies
Yes.
that basically provide the direct services, and it's
Yes.
through your guidance and through some of your funds that we're able to hopefully meet the needs of many of the people
Yes.
who are in need, and unfortunately look like our needs are growing along with our numbers. And I've always found through my involvement that Peoria is a generous community. From having agencies that are professional and are doing all they can with their resources to meet the need, as well as individuals. When we have fundraisers or have fund drives, we're able to raise kind of a great amount of money. Now, Roger, don't you have some type of a event coming up, a golfing event or something? Is that to familiarize people, or is that to raise money, or what?
That's the most recent one. And before we talk about that, though, I just wanted to make our viewers aware that the responsibilities for our agency that Joanne has to be looking at is we are 6 counties.
Okay.
So even though
Yes.
we talk about Peoria,
Yeah,
which
Central
is
Illinois,
yeah,
right?
it's Central Illinois.
Right.
And so sitting on this board, there are representatives from every county.
Could
and
you name some of them?
I can
All of
name.
them?
I hope I can name
Okay.
all of them to
Well,
pass the
a lot
test.
of times we have those senior
So,
moments.
well, and you know, because this is a shopping mecca for we who come off the farm, as you might say. I live up north as far as 45, 50 miles up in a little community called Toulon, which is Stark County.
Stark County.
So we
okay?
start up at the top, at the very lid with Stark County, and you move around and we encompass Marshall County, which Lakin would be a community you might be familiar with in that county. Move over as far as where I was born, Woodford County,
Okay.
which takes you way over to places like Minonk, Roanoke, Benson, Winona, and a lot of people know Toluca if you're into Italian foods at Mona's. And then you come on down and it encompasses across what we refer to up north as across the river, Tazewell County. So Tazewell, of course, takes us well out, you know, below Pekin
Right.
and over to Morton.
Okay.
Then we come and Peoria is engulfed in this, and then we get over to Fulton.
Right.
And Fulton takes us all the way down to Canton.
Fantastic.
So when you're looking at services and funding and distribution and looking at rural America versus urban America versus the city, it's a big, big mission.
Right.
However, with that mission, we have the sources that feed into us. And I'm going to, we all know about the federal level. We know about the state level. Then we have the local level, which you pointed out. I have always found every community who trusts what you're doing and they know about it will be as generous as they can.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
And so from that standpoint, we have lots of blessings that come not in the sign of money, but in the sign of man and woman power.
Right.
People who do the job for us for nothing, or little or nothing.
Right.
All right, taking that into consideration, there's always that gap. Where's the rest of the money going to come from? And to the credit of the employees of the agency, each one has responsibilities in some type of program. And the next big one that's coming up, Michelle Sanders is over congregate meals, and she deals with Meals on Wheels, and she deals with coming up with money, and she smiles, and she's captivating, and she's going to do all this coming to a head on August the 19th, which is coming up on Friday. And as I'm building the suspense here, it is golf.
Golf. Okay.
Now, yes, and Catherine, I already know, is a non-participant. She is clearly a non-golfer.
Okay.
So we scratch her and we move over to the next person and we lure them in and they get people. Michelle has convinced people like myself that only pick up a golf club once a year to actually be in something called a tournament.
Okay.
So it's going to be a fun event. It's over thanks to the resources at Lick Creek Golf Course, which is in Pekin.
Right.
And we're going to all show up there at 11 o'clock for what the scary part is they call a shotgun start. But I've been in several of these and I have yet to hear a shotgun.
Okay.
I always hear a foghorn
Okay.
type of thing. And you can sponsor yourself as an individual and they will place you as in a team, or you can bring in a team.
Okay.
And with that comes cost.
All right.
So since it's a fundraiser and
Right.
since it's inclusive of a good time and the opportunity for the big hole-in-one prize of $10,000.
Wow.
Yes, and that's an eye-opener because that's sponsored by Hecht Stout Insurance. And I'm sure they're banking on people like me being the major contributor so that that $10,000 will stay right where it's supposed to, because the likelihood of me making a hole-in-one is little to none.
Right.
That is true.
Yeah, well, you don't know that for sure because we haven't played together. But as we go on here, it's a four-person scramble. It's for fun. So my appeal is don't shut yourself out because you say I don't play golf.
Right.
But if you believe in the organization, if you are either a consumer, you have had family that have taken the benefits of this in this community, this is the opportunity where I say nothing in life is free.
That's true.
It's an opportunity to give back. Now you're going to give a little bit more than you usually do. So it's $75 a person.
$75 a person to
So
enter
we're,
into it.
yeah,
Okay.
we're appealing to the person not to take that money away from anything that is one of the basic needs in life. But if you got it rolled up, this is a great way to roll it out, our direction. So it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be over at Lick Creek. Michelle has put lots of energy into ways that you can participate. If you're a non-golfer, there's lots of ways you can place your money on the table. It sounds like we're going to Las Vegas now.
Also, the meal is delicious.
Yes.
There's going to be a meal as part of the event.
And I have to be careful. I don't want to call it a free meal because
no.
nothing is free. It's in the package. It's
But
in the
package will include the meal and the round of golf.
They will not, they'll come, they'll have a good time, they will be fed, they will have a little bit of competition. People like myself don't care if we win or lose. There'll be a few at the top that'll listen cleverly to see if they took the prize. There will be all kinds of gifts and baskets and opportunities to shell out a couple more dollars for fundraising. There's all little tricks. To anybody who's been in a tournament, it's not like regulation. We're not talking about the green jacket competition here. You can buy little, what they call mulligans, which if you don't like your shot, you can throw in this piece of paper and, cuts down on your score. And I need those kinds of things. But you can be a platinum sponsor, and that will give you the publicity of the support that you as an organization stand behind these endeavors.
Okay.
Always remembering that these proceeds are going toward the organization's what we
Right.
call faith-based meals.
Okay.
And probably the most popular item, and that's the New Year's Day dinner
All right.
that goes out, which
Yes.
I think, since I'm up there in Tucson, I had to be oriented to everything for that day. I think it's the most major, or the
Yes.
major event
Yes,
for
it
the
is.
city, isn't it?
People come in and eat, or it is delivered to them. And these would be people who do not have any way to say that they had a Thanksgiving dinner.
Right.
And it's a prominent thing in this community.
And the way to bring in the new year,
Yes.
since it's New Year's,
Yes.
the
Yes,
New Year's
yes.
dinner.
Is
And
there a phone number where people who are watching tonight who are interested in participating can call to see that they can get their registration?
there is
or
a phone,
whatever?
anytime a person wants money, there's a phone number that goes with it.
Well, I would hope so.
And it's
right.
locally accessible.
Uh-huh.
They can call the central number, which
Okay.
I want to add as I give out this number. We're not only looking at this number for the golf tournament, we're looking for this for anyone who has a senior need, a caregiver's need, a veteran who may have a need, a grandparent raising their grandchildren under 18 years of age,
Transportation.
any of these. This is the number.
Okay.
And it's 309, but of course locally you don't need that. Up in Stark County, I need it. 674-2071.
Okay, we will post that for people to see. 'Cause
Thank you.
If they're like me, they're watching TV without a pencil or a piece
Right.
of paper, and by the time they find it, they will
That
have
is
forgotten
true.
the number.
Yeah.
That
But
is
we
true.
will publish that number, and I will certainly encourage, because as I said, the purpose of CAPtions to me is to educate, to motivate, to participate.
Right.
And there's a lot of people who have the time, that have the interest, and in this fundraising event, they can have some fun. A lot of times we'll ask people to donate, and it's just a matter of either donating their time or writing a check. Here, we can donate your time by being there, registering, and having fun. Is there any age limit, either in terms of,
Oh,
will it
heavens.
include young people
Of
up to
course.
us,
Of course.
to the ability
anyone.
to be
Anyone.
For that day,
Anyone, okay?
Anyone.
if they can hold a golf club,
Okay.
and there are children's golf club, they are more than welcome. And if they're to the point of age that their arthritis won't even allow them to hold the golf club, I'll bring rubber bands and we'll hook them on their hands, and we'll get.
Okay.
But on a serious note, it is open to anyone and everyone.
Well, I'm glad to hear that
And-
you're having a
The-
special event for a real sincere and needed cause and a program.
Which will happen all the year. The food that is coming, that is coming from this, that is for New Year's. There are other things that are done which will also help this, the golf tournament will help.
Right. Need to add a detail, because you think making a telephone number or calling a telephone number is simple. I only gave you the first half. Once that number answers, there'll be someone who say, how can I direct you? Lovely woman. You need to tell her, I would like to speak to Joanne Olson at extension 2216, or I would like to speak to Michelle Sanders at 2204. And because those are very, very busy ladies, this golf tournament is only ruffles on their skirt when it comes to what their responsibility really is. So they're gone a lot. There's always the message machine, and you can also leave a written message to have them call you, and they'll get you taken care of. And what you can do, if as the listeners are thinking about, if all you want to contribute is what you can afford out of your coin purse, and that may be a few cents or a dollar, we'll take it. You can drop it right off at the office down at 700 Hamilton Boulevard, just below the Dream Center.
Right.
And walk right in the door and say, here's $1 for the golf tournament, which technically is called the 9th Annual Dr. Lawrence E. Norton Golf Tournament, honoring, you know, Dr. Norton and all of his support. So then, after that, they can be a platinum sponsor at the $1,500 level, and then you can move right down. You can be a gold sponsor, a dinner sponsor. One of the things that my wife and I chose to do in addition to participating is to be a golf cart sponsor. So for $25, you can help 4 people roll around. So
well, that's great.
And you do use that, don't you?
yes,
Well, that's
absolutely,
great.
absolutely.
That's what I
So
do.
And I would assume if they can't remember those names of Michelle and whoever, all they have to do is say, I'm calling to get information or to register for
That's
your
it.
golf event that's coming up.
If they can say the word golf, they'll get them to somebody. Absolutely.
Well, and I would encourage people to, as you just said, give whatever you can afford. Get involved. And I would assume, while they're also connected, if they want to indicate that, hey, I have a little time and I have a little energy, if there's anything that I can volunteer to help with either the agencies or work through Central Illinois Agency, I'd like to be contacted, or if they're not able to talk that day to someone, about seeing how I can also serve those in our community who have given so much to us through their years of youth and now are in need of support from others like ourselves.
And as the agency, they keep telling us we're going paperless. You know, that's the cool thing now to try. I still see a lot of paper.
Good.
Well, anyway, but
I
there
love
is an
paper.
important piece of paper, and it's bright yellow, and it's called the Yellow Pages for Seniors.
Okay.
So anyone who wants to stop in, they can take a look at this menu of needs and provide provisions.
Great.
And so there's a lot that will serve the people. We're spending a lot of energy reaching out to, it's almost like a spider, reaching out to the outside outlying areas in the county, trying to show them, because there are services under different names. It's just knowing who to contact and who to go to. And that's what we're mostly finding. It isn't that they don't exist. It's how do I get connected? Yeah, and that's the important thing.
I preach that message just about every show. How blessed we are as a community, as well as Central Illinois, to have many of the services and agencies that we have. And nothing is any worse than to be in need of something and don't know it exists. And through your agency and through other agencies, we need to spread the word and let people know. Well, I want to thank the two of you for taking time to, first of all, serve as board members. And I know it can take time. But I also want to thank you for coming by CAPtions and sharing the true story of what the CIAA, or the Central Illinois Agency on Agency, is all about, as well as to employ our citizens to contribute their time, their dollars, participate in the golf course, or just be in touch with the agency and be of service to the community. I often read or heard, once an adult and twice a child. When you're little, you need assistance. When you get older, you need assistance. The Central Illinois Agency on Aging is here to assist many of you who are watching. God bless each of you. See you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.